Jackson Radio Show.
To say that the left suffered delusion is just the biggest understatement I can make today. It's crazy out there for them, but let's dissect it, shall we? Glad you guys are here. Kevin Jackson's who you're listening to. 844-551-8255 if you want to chime in on this. But I was reading an article in Huffington Post. It's an opinion piece written by a Republican, believe it or not. His name is Le Bouillier, something like that. He's a Republican out of New York. And he outlines these, he kind of outlines them. There's 28 points. And I'm going to spend a lot of this hour talking about it, but it's funny to me listening to this guy. He might as well be a Democrat. And he's writing this piece to apparently make Democrats feel good about their prospects for 2018. And they completely are opposite of what I say. And it reminds me of Carville when Barack Obama got elected, and he's talking about, the Republicans ain't going to win the election for the next 100 years. And I was like, what? He's crazy. Look, Obama was the belle of the ball when Carville made that statement and he got elected. And I said to a CEO friend of mine, who believed him and had spent a lot of money hearing Carville consult with him, and I said to him, that dude is so wrong. If you follow the doctrines of this guy, your business will suffer and your credibility will suffer. I go, he completely missed the mark. And I said, let me tell you why. First of all, I said the guy that they've put in charge, Barack Obama, is an idiot. He knows nothing about the economy. His degrees, by the way, even if he had an economics or finance degree, it would still be useless. But he has no knowledge of it. He has no knowledge of your business, how to run your business, the things you need, and he is going to put more bureaucracy on you than you can shake a stick at, and that's going to hurt you. So be looking at thinning out the herd. And by the way, at the prospect of Obama getting elected, I remember this. I was still in management consulting, and many of my customers said to me, Kevin, we're afraid of this guy, but we can't speak out about it. And we're going to cut 10% of our workforce in anticipation. Many of the companies, largest companies in the world, people, we're not talking about losing 5 jobs. We're talking about losing thousands. They said, we're cutting across 10%. And I said to them, look, guys, I get the panic, but you can't take a meat cleaver to it. You need to be more surgical. And they said, we'll deal with that later. And they were cutting 10% of their workforces. Go back and look. You don't have to believe me. Late 2008 and certainly early 2009, people were just slashing jobs. They were prepping for higher taxes and more bureaucracy. And they were right to do it. Anyway, let's jump into what this guy says. He says 2018 will be a very rough year for President Trump and almost catastrophic for the Republican Party, which has morphed into the Trump Party. Now, I could stop right there and just tell you how bad a miscalculation this is by this guy. Former congressman from New York, Republican, who says that the Republican Party morphing into the Trump Party is a bad thing. Allow me to explain how bad he misses the mark. The Republican Party has been damaged goods for the better part of a decade. They can't get anything accomplished. And the fact that Donald Trump was able to galvanize 51 Republicans to do something that would have been considered controversial is one thing. But now that they've seen success, it's game on. Republicans are going to clamor to be part of the Trump. So, and I get, look, we look at public opinion and we see all these, these lower level people. I don't know what to call them, but really and truly that they're so misinformed, and we normally don't get to them. Trump gets to them, and it makes sense to them. They get it. You want to know why? Because believe it or not, as dumb as the American public can be at times, and as brainwashed as it can be, there are times when they go, this doesn't smell right. They even sense it. So you've got Democrats. We talked about Feinstein earlier. She's not a shoo-in any longer. She's probably going to get voted out. How many Democrats do you think are going to run from Adam Schiff. How many of them? I'll put it to you this way. Look at the top Democrats: Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and name any of them you want. Ask yourself, how many Democrats are going to want to campaign with any of them? If you were a Democrat in anywhere in the country practically, would you want to campaign with Pelosi? Would you want to campaign with Joe Biden? Would you want to campaign with Barack Obama? Who do you want to campaign with? Now I'll ask the question a different way. Republicans all around the country, do you want Donald Trump campaigning with you? Now, I'm going to leave it to you and your common sense to determine, I wonder, which one of those scenarios I would rather have. Let me put it to you this way. You'd rather be a Republican who Donald Trump will campaign for. That's what you want. But this guy says the Republican Party morphing into the Trump Party is a bad thing. No, that means it's becoming a party. It's becoming something to stand for. And no matter what these leftists try to do to demoralize the Trump voter, it doesn't happen. CPAC did a straw poll. It said 93% of the people that were at CPAC supported Donald Trump, which means CPAC has 7% leftist. That's all it means. Donald Trump is practically universally supported by the people that voted him in, and believe it or not, he's added tons. I don't need to go into the numbers, but he talks about last week's, this is point number 2, last week's Quinnipiac poll, while 66% of Americans rate the economy either excellent or good, only 36% approve of the job the president is doing. That's what he says. And then he says, normally those approval ratings track with the economy. So what he's trying to convince you of is that 66% of the people love what Donald Trump is doing, but only 36% of those people approve of him. Okay? Now, I don't know how many people it takes to get elected in America, but I'm going to say it was roughly 50-50 between the stupid people that voted for Hillary Clinton and, of course, we sane folks. So if you want to try to convince me that 14% of us who voted for Trump now don't believe in him, am I the one that's delusional? I rest my case. Then he goes on to say this. Trump's bad behavior, his divisive, boastful, dishonest, egotistical, infantile, self-aggrandizing personality has made it impossible for most people to give him credit for anything. Now, see, I love this part. A guy who is demonized by the media, they don't want to give him credit. When he says, I saved Kerry, he didn't save Kerry, Barack Obama saved Kerry. Oh, really? So Barack Obama, who had conceded, the carrier was going to leave, he's now the savior of Kerry. It's ridiculous to give Barack Obama any credit for this economy. And they've done polling, and I've seen it. It's literally flipped. It's so magical to look at. How many people credited Obama early on, and now it's flipped. And you know what? It's going lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, matching Trump's approval rating as it goes higher. But this guy remains delusional, and he wants to demoralize you. More on this when I return. Keep it in.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.